Welcome to The Conscious Cut. I'm your host, Hoiki Liu. This podcast is all about rethinking sustainability across fashion, lifestyle, and everyday practices. Through conversations with entrepreneurs, policymakers, educators, and changemakers in Hong Kong and beyond, we'll explore real solutions, from industry-wide policies to the small habits we can all adopt. Let's cut through the noise and create meaningful change together. Welcome back to The Conscious Cut. Today we have with us Louisa Dearlove. Louisa is the founder of Fenxiang, a peer-to-peer fashion and resale platform. She is an experienced founder with a proven track record in scaling business and delivering high-impact projects. She has worked with renowned fashion brands such as Vivienne Tam, Anya Heinmarch, and Joseph, and sporting brands such as W Series. Louisa has served as Chief of Staff in Dun & Bradstreet and Rethink Hong Kong, as well as being on the founding team of the leading market and growth at Opus. So thank you for joining us today. Our main focus today here, I think we're going to talk more about Fenxiang. Yes. But let's begin with your background. Can you tell us a bit about your professional journey and what brought you to Hong Kong?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me today. It's so wonderful to be here. And as you can probably tell in my bio, I've had a little bit of a sort of zigzag journey, but definitely it's kind of led me to now becoming a founder. So when I was at school and university, I always wanted to work in fashion. So I went to work for a number of fashion houses, working kind of the PR, the press side of things. I worked in New York for a summer, interning for Vivienne Tam and working on her New York fashion show, which was an incredible experience. And then when I left university, I was sort of not quite sure what I wanted to do. So I tried a number of different things, but went into the startup world and sort of became the first employee at a sporting brand called W Series. And that was an incredible experience. Being the first person in an organization is just amazing. You're helping build it from the ground up. You're, taking all these incredible meetings whilst also plugging in computers and doing all the stuff. So it was amazing kind of getting that startup experience. And then I decided to move more into the tech side and more of a corporate role. And what I realized, what I was doing at W Series was this kind of chief of staff role, which is very much you are kind of working across all aspects of the business, all parts of the team, which I absolutely love. So I'd gone from doing that at a startup to then I went to work at Dun & Bradstreet, chief of staff there for the chief marketing officer, which was an incredible role. Again, working at a large corporate is so different to working at a startup. There's so much more kind of, all the different levels of approval, but I think so important to have that corporate world experience. And for me, they offered me a role in Hong Kong after 3 years. And that's what brought me to Hong Kong, which I was overjoyed about. I've always wanted to work in Asia. So when I got the opportunity, I absolutely jumped at it. So moved to Hong Kong with Dun & Bradstreet, and then really found that I wanted to move back into something with a little bit more purpose and mission driven. And that's when I came across Rethink Hong Kong, which hosts a large event every year focused on sustainability. So I've been working there as chief of staff for the past 3 years. And then, yes, I've now kind of got that journey has led me to start my own business working as the founder of Fenxiang. So yeah, that's what brought me to Hong Kong, and now running my own business.
I thought Vivienne Tam was what brought you to Hong Kong.
It's such a serendipitous moment because when I was in New York, I was like, oh yeah, this amazing Hong Kong designer, and then I moved to Hong Kong and I was like, this amazing Hong Kong designer that I worked for when I was 19 years old. This is incredible. So yeah, it feels quite special now, and I've got some Vivienne Tam dresses that she gifted me, which was so special.
Right. Actually, one of my sample rooms in Hong Kong still makes for her to this day.
I love her.
Yes, her stuff is really beautiful. Yeah. And the cutting, the patterns.
Stunning.
But let's go back to Fenxiang. So I want to ask you a little bit more. I mean, now that we know your journey, but what was the motivation really? What was the problem that you were trying to solve? Or what did you see that made you click and think, oh, I should start this?
Yeah. So during kind of my time in Hong Kong, I really struggled with shopping. I found that was sort of high-end designer or sort of, more kind of high street brands, fast fashion. I felt like there wasn't really much in between that, that contemporary fashion. And I kind of was having conversations with friends, and one of my friends invited me to come and look into her wardrobe because I wanted a dress for a wedding. And I went to her cupboard and she was like, yeah, do you honestly borrow anything? Like, I'm so bored of my clothes. And I just looked in her cupboard and was like, you have so many amazing items. I would love to borrow this and this. And I ended up borrowing a dress from her. And it just got me thinking, there must be so many of us that just have wardrobes full of clothes, which things that sort of feel old to us, but would be new to someone else. And that's kind of what got me thinking, like, why couldn't we all do that? Why couldn't we share some of the good that we all have in our wardrobes? And the rental market has really started to take off in Europe and the US. And when I was living in London, I'd become quite an avid user of rental platforms. And I'm now in that time of my life where I'm attending a lot of weddings and just having to like buy new outfits all the time, you know, buying something once, never wearing it again. It just feels so wasteful. I've always been a big believer in quality over quantity. And I just, you know, started to look much more into that sustainable fashion space and wanted to think, you know, how these are sort of two problems I want to solve. I want to help that, the issue that we're having in fashion with waste, but also I want to have an amazing new item that I can wear without that waste. So that's sort of how Fenxiang began. So yes, my co-founder and I started to put a website together and started to test the market. And that's kind of where we are today.
That's great. I guess it's the idea of wanting it all, but not having to compromise that brought you to this new initiative, which is so wonderful. From my understanding, I want to just jump right into this and ask, you guys don't have a warehouse holding everybody's rental clothes, which is what the rental market that I've known of in Hong Kong has been. Given that really you only, in Hong Kong, in my experience, you only go to the rental shop for if you want to rent a wedding dress, if you want to want evening gowns, you know, or maybe it'll be a mix of match. Like I remember myself, I actually had bought my wedding gown, but I rented my evening dresses.
Amazing.
But years later, now I still have my wedding gown just sitting there in my closet. And I'm never going to wear it again, like, you know, which makes me think, why did I think I needed to have something new at the time? But I mean, we'll get back to this. This is part of the stigma. But let me go back to what I was saying. Is most of these places, they hold all the inventory and hold everything that they're going to rent, and the clothes belongs to the business. So you come into my shop, instead of buying something, you're looking around at everything and renting something. But that's not what's happening with Fenxiang, right?
So we are a peer-to-peer model, so we don't hold any stock. So it is all about kind of a sharing community, about having that shared wardrobe. So lenders will go on and they will list their items on the platform, and then renters will come and they will then rent those items directly from the person. So kind of the whole process is you sign up for free and you can list items. So you take photos of your items, you can upload them, you select the brand, you price the items as well. We have a guide to that, to the pricing as well. And then you list them, and they list on the site as online, you know, in a similar format to online shopping. And then you, the renter who wants to rent something amazing for a Friday night, instead of rushing down to a high street store, you go to Fenxiang, you browse the wardrobe, you select the item that you want. I think something key always to mention is that you can message the lender and say, you know, how does this fit? Like, what is the sizing? Obviously, there's so many different brands with different sizings. We have so many brands across, from US brands, Australian brands, UK brands. So we want to make sure that you're always being able to kind of have that communication. So you can message the lender and say, how does this fit? And then you kind of check out, you select the dates, check out, and then you can either have it delivered to you, or you can go to one of our pickup points as well.
Okay.
The good thing about the pickup points is that you can go to pickup point and try it on immediately. If you love it, take it with you. If you don't, you can leave it at the pickup point and just let us know, and then you'll receive a full refund as well. Because I would say that's like one of the biggest pain points we get is, of course, if you don't have a showroom to go to, it's like, is this going to fit me?
Yeah.
But we want to make sure that you're kind of having as much of an open communication with the lender about it, so we can make sure that it is going to work out for you. But of course, things always don't fit, or they like, if you don't, it doesn't suit you. So we have an option.
I mean, we have that even for when you go real life shopping all the time.
Of course, yeah, exactly. And sometimes, you rent something, you buy something, and you're like, this isn't actually my style.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that you are having that same user experience as online shopping.
Oh, that's really, really great, because I would assume like a lot of people might be traveling for a wedding and you would want to order everything online. It's same pain points as when you go shopping. When things come, if they don't look as it is and you're running out of time, what are you going to do?
Exactly. So no, we really wanted to make sure that that whole user experience was the same.
That is so great. So now, how long exactly has Fenxiang been running in Hong Kong?
So we have been running for about 1.5 years now, and we did sort of like built an MVP, so minimal viable product. I straight away was like, let's build an app, and my co-founder who is a software engineer was like, okay, you're up here and you need to be down here. Let's test the market first and like speak to customers, which was absolutely the right thing to do. And I would advocate for anyone starting a business, start with an MVP and then speak to your customers and iterate and see what people want to do. Like, for example, I thought everyone would want to send things via SF Express. People, and I think this is quite unique to Hong Kong, people are happy to meet up and do the drop-off points. And that was something that was very interesting, which where I'm originally from in the UK, that would not happen at all. So I think that's a lot because of like the trusting community side of Hong Kong. So yeah, we launched them, we've like tested the market. And I guess over the past year, we've been working with different partners. We've done a number of brand collaborations with Top Swap, Swap Society, Women of Hong Kong, to really kind of, get the concept out there, get people to really understand what renting is, and kind of align with brands that sort of align with kind of our ethos as well. I quit my full-time job in March.
Oh, wow.
So that's when I feel, even though we've been running for 1.5 years, like that for me is now like, okay, I'm now doing this like full-time now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you're working for great businesses, but at the same time, it really means like this Fenxiang platform that you're building is, it's enough to take off.
Absolutely. And I think as well, like, and I'm sure that you found this as well with running your own business, like you have to give it your all. And I think for me to fully get Fenxiang to the next stage, I had to really kind of go for it.
All right. Now, so it's been 1.5 years. Approximately how many members do you have currently?
So at the moment, we have, I think, over 400 users on the platform, and we've actually just reached about 700 items on the platform.
Okay.
And actually, that's a big thing that I'm focusing on at the moment, is increasing that supply.
Yes.
And just making sure there are enough different like styles and sizes and brands that people really want.
Yeah. I guess what would, like for me as a consumer, from a consumer standpoint, I guess what I would be more worried with, if let's say if I was okay, so I think as someone who's borrowing, we've already mentioned like, oh, you have a place where I can trial and fit. So and that is already solved kind of the issue. But as a lender now, if I'm the one lending my clothes, what should I expect?
Great question. So I think it's very much like the items that you want to lend are those ones which those are really special dresses or special items that you don't want to sell. Like at a moment you don't want to sell, but you really want to make your wardrobe work harder. It's like, why are these things sitting in my wardrobe when someone else could be enjoying them? And I think actually thinking someone I spoke to earlier this week, she has all these amazing outfits from her wedding, her hen party outfits, her engagement party outfits. She's like, I'm never going to wear these again, but they're so special to me. So I don't want to sell them, but actually renting them out would be amazing, and to see like other women enjoying those. So I think that's definitely kind of the point of view from the lender, what you want to think. And then in terms of kind of how it works for the lender, it's very much, being able to shoot those clothes. And I say shoot, that means it's like, that sounds super professional. Just honestly having like a white wall with like a clear, bright photo so that the person can see.
I mean, at the end of the day, I would assume we would want it to be as realistic as possible, because you don't want to. It's just going to waste everyone's time if the borrower is
completely, and writing in the description saying like, this is, a UK 10, but it fits like a UK 12 as well. Like I find it works really well for this. Or like there's like a tiny little like something on the back, like just being really honest about it. Like, we're not trying to hide. These clothes have been worn, they have been enjoyed, but it's about more people enjoying them and it being new to people. So I think, as the lender, it's about, being realistic, as you said, really over communicating with the renter as well, so that they're having as much for like fantastic experience through this. And just I would say that, the communication of it as well, and being able to create that kind of trusting community.
Do people usually rent for a period of time, or is it like just one event?
So it kind of depends, and we kind of allow for both. So we have a minimal rental period of 2 days.
Okay.
But some people tend to rent for kind of up to 5 days. So some people, for example, if you have an event on the Saturday night, people will rent it from the Thursday so they can try it, and then they'll deliver it back on the Monday.
Okay.
And then we also have that some people will take, we know Hong Kongers love to travel, and
Yes.
so a lot of people are traveling abroad for like different events, especially weddings and things. So absolutely, you can take it away for a week, 2 weeks, and we actually have a pricing structure that after 4 days, the price starts to reduce, so that actually you're like,
Right. That makes sense because you're on a holiday. It doesn't mean you're actually going to wear this item for that number of times. It's just you're away.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's really nice. Now, how should when people return their clothes, do they have to like dry clean it before returning? How does that work?
Great question. So this is very much something which is, I'm the customer, and we have chosen to do it the way that we have because of my preference. And my preference is my dress I want to take to my dry cleaner. So if I have lent something out, that when I'm listing my items, I write the dry cleaning cost, and the dry cleaning cost is built into the rental price. So the renter pays for the dry cleaning, but the item is returned to me, like worn, but then I will take it to my dry cleaner. And that again is the preference because I want to take it to my dry cleaner.
Right.
And I want to I want to trust everyone, but I don't want someone, God forbid, like put it in the washing machine or something like that.
I mean, because let's be very honest, not everybody knows how to read care labels.
Absolutely. Exactly. So I think it's it's your own item, you want that cared for in the standard that you want. But also then for the renter, it takes out one step for the renter. They don't then have to worry about the cleaning. They can literally rent it and then return it immediately.
And if I decide to rent a product that can be machine washed, then that cost would just be much lower for...
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a few items listed on there which can just be put in the wash. So I just, don't list it.
Oh, that is so great. So I know earlier we were saying how the way that people are putting things out or how they feel, how should I say this? I guess, okay, let's simplify my question. Is there any stigma right now for, especially in Asia, like Chinese people here, we also have Chinese New Year, you need to get something new. Like, I remember actually when I had my brand out just for 3 months as, kind of a trial. But as I was saying, Anthora collection is such a slow collection that it's not going to have seasonal updates, not always. And I was in a shop in Landmark actually for 3 months. So it did great for Christmas. Like when I didn't really do any push on marketing it because it's just a trial, it took off on its own. But came Chinese New Year, the same customer went back to the same shop asking if my brand has something new for them.
Interesting.
And I did it.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do realize how the difficulty here occasionally is people really want something new. And it's not just a new style. They literally want a new piece for whatever reason it is.
It's tough. It's really hard, for all of those reasons that you just said. And I definitely was naive coming in. I thought, right, I'm going to launch this like rental and resale site. And it's been a really successful business model like elsewhere in the world. And people did not really, they did not know what it was. I definitely had to focus a lot on the education side of things. And you're right, there is a stigma, and especially in Asia, it's much more kind of like wanting you. And so that has definitely been a challenge for sure. I think, there's no good answer for it because it's definitely a challenge that I'm like facing day to day. And I think what I want to kind of lean into in the messaging I want to lean into is that idea that everyone does want something new all the time. Just because something isn't like fresh new from the package, it doesn't mean it can't be new to them. And going into that idea of like, actually, yes, I do want to wear a different outfit every week. Okay, that's great. You don't have to buy a new outfit every week. You can just rent a new outfit every week, and you can rent like these amazing brands that normally would cost, thousands of dollars like for a fraction of the price. So leaning into that messaging and making, trying to get people to understand like actually by renting, you can have such a variety of choice on like brands and styles and trying different trends as well. But it's an issue, and it's changing consumer habits, which is so difficult. And the way that we all are, the world is set up, fast fashion is easy. Fast fashion is so easy. And everything, all these like new new pieces are available to us, like people doing kind of all the different seasonal trends and things like that. And so it's a real education piece on trying to get people to understand and change those consumer habits, which is so difficult.
It is, I think. And I mean, I understand we're both going into schools to do these types of education now. I was just at an international school last week where I was speaking to a group of kids about sustainable fashion. And there was one of the students who was they were looking at my website. They looked at my website at the price of the pieces. And she said, it's not that I don't like the things here, but they seem kind of expensive. Given these kids are, 15 to 17, something like that. And I understand that, but I asked her just on her consumer habits. When's the last time you went shopping? How did you shop? Where did you shop from? How many things did you get? Things like that. So she said the last time she bought something was online, something like a month ago. She bought 3 items from Shein. One of the items she has not worn, she got it. She said it's not really what she was expecting, what she wanted. So she just left it aside, it's just sitting there somewhere in a pile somewhere in her house. And then the 2 other items, she says she's worn it around maybe 2 to 3 times each, but she doesn't want to wear it anymore now because it feels like it's not trendy anymore. And so what I explained to her at that moment is, how much did you pay for those 3 items at Shein? And if you actually divide it out by not ever wearing it or wearing it 2 to 3 times, it's not that cheap.
Yeah.
First is something that you can love for many years that you might wear. Let me say if you were something that you're willing to wear once a week, maybe a pair of simple pants that you can mix and match with different things. In a year, you would have already worn it 52 times.
Exactly. And this is why, like, this is both what we're obviously, talking to people about and what is so important. And it's all about that quality over quantity, which is so difficult when, you've got that cheap price tag in front of you and you're like, great, I just want to have that now. But if I think of my wardrobe and what has been in it for, let's say, like 5+ years, it is when I've spent on those high quality pieces and it's when I've invested in those pieces. So it's about kind of that education of like, actually you should invest in those like high quality everyday kind of workwear pieces that are going to last you, and then rent for the fun, like those fun like events and like even just like going out on a Friday night and things like that. Like I think that's the biggest consumer habit I'm trying to change. It's
right.
That weekly, okay, I'm going out with some friends tonight, I'm going for dinner or this, like I want to wear something nice, and running down to Zara and just buying something immediately, which I'm never going to wear again. Okay, it's fine. Just like hop onto Fenxiang and just select something, and it's it's a community, so everyone is in Hong Kong, everyone is based there, like pretty close by, like just rent something instead, which is like out there and fun and a new brand. But it's so tricky to do that education piece around getting people to understand actually like spending more is actually you long-term spending less. But it's fantastic, and that's why I love speaking to you, and like the Andorra collection is such an amazing brand of what you guys are doing. So it's just that messaging.
One of the things I was telling the kids, besides like paying less now, it's just you're just not paying for the consequence later on. And it's not just you are not paying for the consequence later on, it's we're all paying for that consequence later on. And I had to explain to them, actually, the day that I had the talk with them was the hottest day in record of in June for Hong Kong ever. It got up to 38 degrees.
Oh my gosh.
So I was explaining to them on that day, like, you guys probably won't realize this because you're still, in your first 20 years of life, there's still a lot of things to experience and just to absorb, but you wouldn't know what it was before that. And when I was young, like, June was not in the 30s. June was like maybe 28 degrees. Now we're talking about the hottest day. I mean, it was like the top of the mountain on the peak. It was 38 degrees, but it's still crazy. Like, global warming, there are days where it's not just 1.5 degrees higher. It's much crazier than that. So I was explaining to them, we are already living in consequences of, what the past generations have done. They may not realize this is the consequence, but on a day like June, they shouldn't have to be in an air-conditioned room.
No, absolutely. And it's the waste as well. Like, I think, you know, as you know, like the fashion industry is the third largest polluter.
Second.
Like in this, is it second now?
Yes.
I mean, the second now, and it's just crazy. And it's from, you know, the water usage to the waste. And I see, and it's those, those Shein, like, TikTok hauls and like things like that, and I see and I'm like, oh, that is just so many clothes. And like, honestly, the thing is, it's tricky because I remember, if I'm being really honest, when I was 16, I was addicted to Zara.
I
was so addicted to Zara, and I remember it was almost like a thing of pride, like going in and like buying as many things as possible. I don't have any of those items anymore. Like, those are all just somewhere in like a huge kind of like waste facility, and that's what's wild. And it's trying to change that conversation. And
because at the end of the day, if you just want to look fresh, really renting something, I'm sure most people who's putting their things out for rent is going to be a higher quality piece.
Yes.
Because no one's going to rent your garments from Shein or H&M. Like, nobody needs that.
No, and we don't accept kind of fast fashion brands. Like, they really want to, you know, we maintain that we have like high quality.
There's always a value in it if it's high quality items for rental. So if you really do want something new for that, you know, that night out, renting something that would elevate you instead of buying something that is just, you know.
Exactly. And actually, one of my kind of like top tips of Fenxiang now is there's 2 or 3 women on the platform that I know are the same size as me, and I really like their style. So I just keep going back to their things and like renting those. Something that I should mention as well that we've just recently launched is we've launched a resale tab on there as well, because we found that a lot of people were saying, you know, we've got lots of items we want to rent, but actually we've got a lot of like high quality pieces, like contemporary fashion pieces that we would love as well to sell. So we've started selling some items as well.
And I'm sure there might be that person who wore this dress one night and they loved it so much they kind of want to keep it from themselves.
Exactly. Yeah, we've had a few people that they rented and said like, oh, I actually love it, can I buy it? And the lender's like, fantastic, yes, please.
And I love how you said there's a few women that you know is now your size. It's almost like, I don't know, without having this being part of the reason for why this platform was built, but you're kind of building a community.
Absolutely. And I think that is so much like what it is about. It's building this community. The idea came from like sharing from your friend's wardrobe. It's like the idea that you see something your friend's wearing, like, oh, I love that so much, I want that. And that's what I really want the kind of ethos to be, is sharing like from your friend's wardrobe and building that community and building that community of, you know, that circular fashion economy, but also that we don't need to compromise. Like, we can still wear incredible clothes and we can still have amazing style, but just change it and our fashion habits.
Because if you start to get to know the lender or the renter, you also will have that much more faith in what you're getting.
Absolutely. It's building that trust and building that trusting community.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I actually want to ask first, is there any success stories or something that's really, you know, that you thought, oh, this happened between our members, or once we got this dress and whatever happened to it? Is there something that's really like, I need to tell you the story?
There's a couple that come to mind. I think firstly, a friend of mine had a baby at the end of last year, and she, you know, was going through that stage where she's like, nothing fits me, I hate kind of all of my clothes. And we had a lot of friends who had like big parties coming up and stuff. Just really want to come to them, but I'm just not feeling myself. And she rented like everything that she wore to those events over the 6 months from Fenxiang. And she was like, this is great because it's items that are making me feel good. They're not in my usual size. They're not something that I would normally kind of buy. And it was just so wonderful because she was coming to these events just like feeling like herself, like being able to try like different items that she could just rent now, and then later on they're not her size anymore. So she's rent those, and that's all she's done.
I'm sure she'll feel like I had the same feeling after giving birth. I feel guilty for buying new things because I know my body shape is going to change again. But at the same time, I can't keep wearing what I was wearing while I was pregnant, you know?
No, absolutely.
Yeah, so I literally lived out of leggings and just sports for I think a year until I got back to my shape. But I was quite unhappy for the whole year. Like, I mean, I was happy with my life, my family, but I was quite unhappy with how I actually looked. So I remember I didn't want to take pictures. I didn't really want to take pictures. I would take pictures of my kids, my husband and my kids, but I'd be like, I don't really want to be in the picture for that exact reason. I don't feel myself yet, and none of my clothes fit me.
Exactly. So it was like an opportunity for her to try different styles.
It's Fenxiang when I was going through that time.
Yeah, that was good. And actually, someone the other day, they rented, so we've got a couple of amazing suits on there. So I would say the majority of the items we have are very much like for event dressing, like weddings, big parties and things like that. But we've got a couple of like amazing kind of like power suits on there, which a few people have rented. And someone rented one last week because she was interviewing at a fashion house, and it was amazing. She ended up getting the job. She was like, I felt just so powerful, like going in this great suit, and it really worked for me. And she was like, but I didn't need that suit like over and over again. I just needed it for that moment. So that was really cool.
I think it would be especially great for a few items. Obviously, events and occasional wear that is not something that you want to wear repeatedly, and even sometimes very brightly colored or fashion and trendy things. I mean, it might be you for this moment, but maybe not all the time. I also think we do need to speak to more kids who are searching for themselves, the style, like, to see what looks good on them, for them to explore fashion in a way where it's less wasteful.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And that's one of obviously the biggest problems of fast fashion is those trends, and like people wanting to try all those trends. And so they like go to Shein and they like buy all of those, but actually renting gives you that option of like, actually I can try all these trends. I can see kind of what works and what doesn't work.
Right.
And without having the sort of the wastefulness of buying it.
And I was explaining to the students, it's bringing us back to the girl who said she'd rather buy something from Shein just because she can try, but then after either not wearing it or 2-3 wears, you realize it's not really for her kind of thing. I mean, in that same breath of hearing all of those stories, I also told them, actually, because when I was in there that day, I think Chanel just either came out with the news that morning or the night before about Neuf Haute, how they were starting a second, they're starting, Neuf Haute is basically they're using the old inventory to recreate and redesign new things. One of the reasons stating that is because all these luxurious materials that we know of nowadays, your wools, your silks, your leathers, the supply is depreciating. And so it's getting more and more expensive to buy these luxe items because the raw materials cost so much more. And I was explaining to students, Chanel's already making this move. It tells you a few things. The first thing I will say is we all actually need to take care of our planet right now, and it's already a little bit too late, but we cannot delay any longer, mainly because we're talking about how the natural resources are depreciating. This is because of global warming. This is because of all the waste we've created that's drowning our earth. It's in pollution. So at their tender age of 15 right now, this is a luxury. I said possibly by the time you're 30, this will be priceless. Like you won't even be able to get it. There might be no more fields for sheep to graze on. Cotton's not growing properly because of global warming. You were talking about organic cotton now, but maybe cotton, just even if you're adding all the chemicals, it won't even grow properly anymore. Silkworms, no more silk because silkworms can't live in this extreme heat, So all of it is going to add up, and then by the time when you have no more choice but polyester, it's really going to be way too late.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's so interesting. I saw that, that move that Chanel are doing, and it's fantastic. And I think that's what is going to really make a difference, is those high fashion houses really starting to make those changes, because there's already behind the scenes like lots of changes being made, like in the design process and in manufacturing, as you know. But I think definitely it's some big moves from Chanel, and I think we're hopefully going to see that that's going to turn into much more of a trend. And I've seen other kind of smaller brands. There's an amazing brand in the UK called Rixo, and they noticed that so many of their items were being rented on various rental sites. So they just launched their own rental side of the business. And I think they've actually recently partnered with one of those rental sites because they identified that so many people were wearing their dresses for weddings. So they've just leaned into like, okay, actually we're going to be part of this as well and like be part of that rental journey. So yeah, it's great to see kind of brands also kind of taking control.
And I think we all kind of need to, because, you know, kids were asking me about like outlets even. And I think a lot of people don't realize is actually, and most of your outlets, so they sell made to, like they sell outlet lines that they order from the factory. This is not stuff that's from past inventory left down. Most of the time past inventory, this is what I was telling them as, just imagine, or like we've all seen this because there's so many malls and shopping centers and shops in general in Hong Kong. We've all seen, you know, your H&M or your Uniqlo go on sale, you know, a full shop of things on sale, and then they go on further discount, and then they go to final sale. By the time it's final sale 3 weeks later, it's still a shop full of inventory. Yes. And you know there is more in the warehouse still.
It's crazy.
So the day where it's final inventory and the next day they flip over and sell a brand new season, what do you think happened to everything that was still in the shop when they closed that night?
Yeah.
You know?
It's so scary.
It's so crazy because we all know everyone is overproducing, right? And going back to the Chanel thing, now we know they're starting this new venture, but at the same time, what does that tell us about what they were previously doing?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
And I think that is for every brand and everybody, from fast fashion to your high luxury, because protecting your brand name and IP has always been something that was so important. But I think it's time to look at the importance of that and the importance of where our world is going, right?
Absolutely.
So we need, like, there's so many problems, and we definitely need more solutions like Fenxiang.
Absolutely. And I think that's what's so important is, you know, we can't just say like stop buying or like stop having access to amazing fashion. Like that's our biggest thing, is like we are not saying that we need to compromise on that. It's just we have to change the habits. We have to shift those habits to become more sustainable. And there are so many amazing solutions and different options. It's just changing that mindset. And that's what the biggest challenge is. But also it's what's got to happen, definitely. Yeah. So it's great to see like big businesses kind of doing that, because I think they can really lead the way on it.
Yes.
But definitely, you know, as like the everyday person, that they can make those more sustainable choices as well.
One more thing I'd like to add is a lot of people buying new, it's because they think it's a hygiene issue, half of it.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And that is the biggest like lie. Yeah. That is not true. Like buying new clothes it's not clean. New things usually aren't clean. They've gone through millions of people's hands. So when I explain the supply chain from the raw materials to, you know, making yarns, from the yarns weaving or knitting the fabrics, and then to the cutting, sewing things together, ironing things, like fusing on all of these parts. People adding on buttons, inspecting your clothes, packing in a bag. Everything I just said is done by a different person alone.
You know, this is so great to hear from like your point of view of like the manufacturing side, because obviously, and which isn't a surprise and which is a completely fair question. We get a lot of questions about hygiene and like items appearing new, but that is so true. It's so like there was already like things
disgusting.
Like
that time
many hands. That's what it is. Yeah, exactly. Even on a shop floor, people are going through items all the time and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
and I think because it's they took it from the stock room, it's still in a polyester bag. But you need to think about what happened before it was packaged in a polyester bag.
Exactly.
Even if it's something that's been laundered at one point, after the laundering point, there's still many steps it goes through before it gets into a package.
Exactly. Most of the time, our items, they're dry cleaned and then just put back in someone's cupboard, and then they're picked up again to deliver to the renters.
And that is actually much cleaner.
That's probably much cleaner and way less steps. So actually, yeah, that's something I need to talk about a lot more, because as you can imagine, it's a big question we get, which is so fair enough. Like, we have T's and C's in place, that making sure that all of our items are up to like the high standard that we expect, that we would want all of our items to be delivered in. Yeah.
As a garment manufacturer, I always tell my friends, whenever I buy something new, I always wash it first.
Yes. I bet it's so interesting. Everyone I meet who's like in fashion, in that the real like kind of garment like manufacturing side, always say that.
Yeah. So I love to share that with you so you can hopefully, you know, I feel like a big stigma is it's used, it's old, is it clean? It's one of the main things. But with everything that we talked about today, I'm super excited about the partnership we're going to be building going forward.
So excited.
Yeah. So I'm going to be putting the entire Anthora collection onto Fenxiang. As a, you know, Anthora collection being such a slow collection, extremely slow fashion, doesn't always have something new every season. We don't have a retail space that we can constantly be in because, you know, when you go into a shop, people are looking for something new. So I'm super happy to have a platform like yours where I can actually share my garments with the potential customer who's unsure of the quality maybe or unsure of the sizing and fit. Now they can actually get it somewhere for rental and see if they like it first before they decide if they want to purchase. And if they do not, or if they only want to wear it for their occasion, that's fine too.
Absolutely. We are so excited to be partnering with you and honestly just so honored because everything that your brand is about is like so true to Fenxiang's ethos and the whole kind of like slow fashion side, as well as honestly, Anthora Collection have so many fantastic items. So all of our users are in for a treat. So they're going to have so many incredible options. So really excited for it. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. So I think we might have covered everything we needed to today.
Great. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm sure I'm gonna have you back again because as the platform evolves, we're gonna talk about how it's changed.
Absolutely. And it's just been, it's been such a joy to chat to you and like speak with someone who's so passionate on this subject as well. And I just think that, you know, we share that same mission of we really want to see those fashion habits, like those becoming more sustainable, but we don't need to compromise on having incredible clothes and incredible style as well. We can still have that. So it's just been wonderful to chat to you and learn more about your business as well.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.